In 1999, this primary school was out of control. Poor standards, bad behaviour, the threat of closure just a step away, until a newly appointed head saw one chance for survival: sport. It's sports day at Fair Furlong Primary School near Bristol. Children, parents and teachers are enjoying an energetic afternoon. Today, the school is thriving.
Good luck, Mrs. Jacksons. Let's hear it for Mrs. Huntscroft.
In 1999, things were very different. When Peter Overton became the school's fourth head in just 2 years, he was shocked by what he found.
It wasn't a particularly attractive school for anybody to take on at that time. Quite quickly, the school had spiralled out of control.
Vandalism, intimidation and bullying were commonplace. The staff were in despair.
It used to be fights, everything. Sort of first thing in the morning, as soon as they come in, fights.
It was like a battle zone. There had no equipment for any of the children to play with. There was arguments, fights.
In the wake of bad behaviour, standards started falling. Parents began voting with their feet. It was a worrying trend for the school.
A couple of terms before I came, about 40 children, and when we looked at the statistics, it was mainly higher retaining girls were taken out of this school and put in other local schools. That's a pretty clear message to the school that we weren't getting it right.
The school was on the brink of closure. Overton knew he had to do something, and do it fast.
There was an urgent need to raise standards, an urgent need to raise morale, and an urgent need to address and improve behaviour both in class, good learning behaviours in class, and also outside.
Cue sport. Overton saw sport as one of a range of key enrichment activities, one that could help change the culture and behaviour of the entire school.
PE in school sport gives them opportunities to experience success, and therefore when they come into the classroom, they're feeling successful people, they're much more likely to apply themselves in areas they find difficult. And quite early on, we looked at developing the sports and arts and enrichment activities throughout the school day, before school and breakfast clubs, lunchtime activities, break time activities and after school clubs, as a real way of demonstrating that schools are not places that control children, they're places that nurture children.
Overton knew he'd set himself an ambitious target, one that he couldn't deliver single-handedly. So he did what any good team player does. He turned to his staff for help.
I was really impressed with the staff team when I came. There were many, many strengths, and there was a real strong commitment to the school at all levels of the staff, from support staff, LSAs and serving teachers, and a very supportive governing body desperate for the school to be successful.
The race was on, as Overton had reached out to the staff, so they in turn came up with a neat idea. Give responsibility to the children and parents. Involve the wider school in making a plan of action.
We needed the input from the children. Peter had his ideas, but what we did was we made up questionnaires for the children, sent questionnaires to the parents, and from that input that they gave us, we worked with them and we drafted out a school plan of what they would like to have, and we just went from there.
But coming up with a plan of action was just part of the solution. How would the school come up with the funding?
We serve a large estate on the fringe of a city, hitting all the sort of deprivation factors quite hard. It's in the poorest 10% of wards in the country. As a result of that, the advantages are it attracts a lot of regeneration funding and educational funding additionally as well, which we hugely benefit from. We put in a lot of bids, and organisations, educational, paraeducational organisations like working with us because we're organised, we have good ideas, and we make their life easy. So we have attracted a lot of funding streams through NOF funding for after-schools activities.
High on the list of the children-inspired plan, make the playground a more friendly, inclusive place to be. Early on, Peter Overton had noticed an aggressive pattern during playtime.
The races between the children were poor. They were dominated by aggressive play, large groups of boys charging around playing football, and some of our more vulnerable children were intimidated and frightened by the sort of boisterous atmosphere of the outside.
The solution? Zoning. With the £20,000 grant from the Youth Sport Trust, the playground got a facelift.
The red areas with the ball cage is for energetic play. The yellow areas are quiet areas with benches because not every child wants an energetic playtime. And the blue areas is where we have like skipping and snakes and ladders and games that the children can play.
Crucial to the zone park, the installation of new sports equipment. But how to make sure it didn't get vandalised, like so much else of the school? Answer: get the children's families to sponsor it.
The children realise now is that with the challenges they've done, it's their parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles that are actually sponsoring them, giving them the money for the equipment, so the children knows that they've bought the equipment themselves, so they're respecting it more.
The zone park worked. Children, especially girls, came out of hiding. The boys' aggressive behaviour was contained. The next step was to channel that aggression in a positive direction. Stage 2 of Fair Furlong's regeneration plan: introduce non-traditional sports, wean the boys off football, get girls and boys playing together.
We do look for non-gender specific and sometimes minority sports. Nobody's an expert and they're all starting from the same point, and there's no gender bias at all in that. So we do actively look out for the range of sports that's going to include more children.
As the boys got drawn to a new sport, like basketball, so the older girls, at least, took up football.
With the year 6, the girls do participate with the boys in playing football. They do mix. So, yeah, it's not dominated just by the bigger boys. It has completely changed.
New sports meant bringing new people into the school to teach them. And that in turn meant reaching out to locally based organisations for volunteers.
Every time we get to a point, we're going to stamp a little hole.
This orienteering session comes courtesy of a local branch of AXA Insurance. Large companies like AXA give time off to their staff for volunteering.
AXA sends out a list throughout the company, and then teams throughout the company then select the choice that they want to go with and run it from there.
After some hesitation, Fair Furlong's teachers welcome the arrival of strangers.
They do. I think the teachers really enjoy having coaches coming in and giving the children a chance to experience different sports. And also when we do sit in, we learn a lot as well from the coaches so that we can carry that on through our teaching.
Fair Furlong School was heading in a new direction, one that both children and adults could benefit from.
Well, I think it's a double-edged thing. It's rewarding, yes, for us, but it's also rewarding for the children as well and the community at large. So they get to have people almost on tap coming into their community every year to help out. And we get the chance to get away for someone to do something different and help out as well.
Encouraged by the success of the volunteer programme, staff began broadening its range of sporting activities. There was only one problem. Volunteers can't do everything. And that set Anne Chambers on another urgent search for funding.
It was basically a case of just getting on the internet and finding, just typing in school grants. We knew banks, building societies often gave money, and also lottery grant. And it was just basically a case of just trawling through the internet. But now, within the last few years, Learning Through Landscapes, a charity organisation, has been developed, and they are coordinating things like this throughout the whole of the country, and their website's very useful.
Anne's persistence has now built close ties with several leading companies. Today, EDF Energy is handing over a cheque for £2,000.
Thank you very much.
The money will provide bicycles for the younger children. EDF Energy's Jackie Lewis explains why Fair Furlong's application was successful.
We would be looking at sustainability in a project. If a project has a start to it and we can see development through that, and the fact that it will make a difference to the school.
The children themselves got involved in the grant application.
We do like to see the children putting a lot of input into the project because it means then that the school is involving the children right from the start.
You might think spending time making grant applications would interfere with the children's education, but at Fair Furlong, sport and all that goes with it is brought into the classroom and used to help children develop their core skills.
It is more about taking control of their own learning and what they want to do and what they need to learn in order to improve. What are the things that we did really well?
Teachers can help children channel PE skills into other areas of the children's learning.
What do you think children aren't just using learning skills in isolation? There's a sense of purpose for them. They're actually applying them into different games and making up games or sequences in gymnastics. I think it then gives them a chance to then apply these skills.
Peter Overton's sport-orientated enrichment programme has paid dividends. In the past 5 years, Fair Furlong School has changed out of all recognition.
Standards this year, we've just found out, are our best ever. And very, very good for the area and extremely good for Bristol and compare very favourably nationally. It's the first time we're able to say that.
The lessons the children are learning on the sports field are translating themselves into the classroom.
I met one experienced head teacher, retired now, who says she sees the playground as her classroom, which I thought was a really useful way for a head teacher to see that. And it makes a huge contribution to staff if you can deliver them back after a lunchtime, after a playtime, refreshed, they've used up some energy, they can sit, they've had a good, happy time, they're ready now for the teacher.
Well done, pink table, you all ready?
We're ready.
Greens are ready, yellows are ready. Okay then, boards down. Let's see if I can catch you out this time.
But how can sport and PE improve standards in the classroom?
I know other things are really important. Numeracy, literacy, music. Everyone thinks their little area is really important, but I think sport is one of those areas, and you just have to try and take on board for the benefit of the children, really, to give them as many opportunities as possible.
There is another factor in the equation. Whereas previously, Sports Day was just another fun festival for the children, Peter and Louisa have introduced a more competitive edge.
Today was really good because it was the first time we tried that competitive way of doing it, and I thought it went really well. We really enjoyed it. I just think the children love, excelling at something which in the classroom they might not excel at, so I think it gives those children a chance as well.
It was great to be able to see that children can compete and support each other. And in fact, we just gave the results out for the Year 6 children, and children didn't have any concerns about having their SATs results told to them in front of everybody else. There's that sort of environment, that essence of competitive sport.
But there is still much to do. Behind the scenes at Sports Day, the school's dark past still lingers. Acts of vandalism are rare, but they still occur. Nevertheless, staff can now put on a brave face, something they couldn't have done 5 years ago.
In 1999, our vandalism bill was £50,000, and I'm very pleased to say that last year we only spent £4,000 on vandalism. Not only has the improvements that we've made helped the children during school hours, we've got more money to spend where it should be spent, on the education.
Sport alone could not have saved Fair Furlong School. But as an agent for change within the culture of the school, its impact is undeniable. For Peter Overton and his staff, that is reward enough.